Hello, world. Welcome to Querying Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality, the QSTPS Center, LGBTQ Center for Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality. And today we are going to do, sometimes as I told you in the other video, I am an Athenian. And an Athenian is a person who spends his time listening and talking. And that's a philosopher. I'm primarily a philosopher, much as I am a type of philosopher in the mold of Paul, because Paul is a Christian philosopher. And the Athenians were not Christian philosophers. Some of them were Stoics, some of them were Platonics, students of Plato, others were Aristotelians, others were Epicureans, as we've read in the Bible in the video I did yesterday. So for me, I'm a mixture. I think I'm a mixture of most philosophies in the world. And what I do is I mix them together. And remember, when we did the other video about philosophy, we said philosophy is the love of wisdom, Sophia, which is Christ. And all philosophers of the world are lovers of Christ. Yes, that's why everyone is going to heaven, because everyone has a Sophia. Everybody has their wisdom that they follow and enjoy. And Christianity is a philosophy on its own. Pentecostalism is a philosophy on its own. Evangelicalism is a philosophy on its own. Mormonism is a philosophy on its own. Every sect, LGBTQ affirming theology is a philosophy on its own. Every sect, every sect, every sect is a philosophy. And I've told you philosophy is the love of Christ, the love of Sophia. And so all of these philosophies exist. Islamic philosophy, Islam is a philosophy. Wahhabism, the one that causes terrorism in the world, is a philosophy. Yes, it's a wisdom. Nazism, Ku Klux Klan, all of those are wisdoms. Now, wisdom is relative. I know it's a very shocking thing to say. Yes, it's very relative. Because wisdom, what is wisdom? Is knowledge. The problem, people make the mistake. They don't understand the word. The word kingdom means a person who rules a domain, a king. It's a domain ruled by a king. So wisdom is a domain ruled by a wise person. Who is a wise person? A wise person is a knowledgeable person. So everybody has their knowledge. So the problem of the word wisdom was people, when you tell somebody you're wise, it is very relative and subjective, because you're wise in somebody's eyes. Somebody who has your wisdom will call you wise. Somebody who doesn't have your wisdom will call you foolish. You see, that's what you need to understand. Wisdom and foolishness are all relative. The topics we discuss in morality is all relative, all of it. That's why I'm telling you, Nazism is also a wisdom. It's a knowledge, but it was a bad knowledge, because some knowledges lead to killing of people. Yeah, that's what you have to understand. This is a hard meat. Paul said when he was teaching to people, They could not listen to him because it was very tough meat. Yes, so even this one I'm bringing to you is very tough meat, because the every every sect, even the church of Satan that exists, that one has wisdom. It has knowledge. So what I'm trying to tell you, come out of the cocoon of saying, come out of the cocoon of saying, what's it called? Of the cocoon of saying that wisdom is a good knowledge. No, wisdom is knowledge. Let's see if we can get the dictionary. Yeah, let's read from the dictionary. And wisdom wisdom is defined as the ability to use your knowledge and experience to make good decisions and judgments. Okay, partly this definition is not as nice, but the first part is okay. The ability to use your knowledge and experience. So if so the basis of wisdom is knowledge, is what you know. Then the second step is to use that knowledge. That is what you call wisdom. Now, somebody who cannot use the knowledge they have, that is a foolish person, or foolish. Or in deeper words, or I mean, not deeper words, in the casual language, that's a stupid person. That is a person of low IQ. You see, that's what you need to understand about. But you see, the understanding people don't have is they think wisdom is only positive to them. You see, Christians, fundamentalist Christians will never say Islam is wise. And a fundamentalist Muslim will never say Christianity is wise. And an anti-Semite will never say Jews are wise. You see, that's what you need to understand. That knowledge is relative. And there are very many things to know. Many things. Many things. There is knowledge about practically many things in this world. That's why knowledge is power. The more you know, the more power you have. It's as simple as that. And a wise king or a wise person has the ability. The beautiful thing about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It was not the tree of knowledge of good only, neither was it the tree of the knowledge of evil only. It was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You know, when you hear that word, you think it is the knowledge you have. Do you know what is good? Do you know till today we do not know even what is good? We know things that are good. Because what is good? And what is evil? Where does good end? And where does evil end? You see, that's the power of law. You know, and the power and the slowness of law. Law always comes after an act has happened and people measure is this act that has happened, does it have a good consequence or an evil consequence? That's why laws, and even laws, are relative. Because if, like, when laws are relative, I don't want to get distracted, but this is a philosophical channel and a scientific and theological, so we can veer off. Now, if laws are relative in the sense that there's an act happening in the society like theft, people are stealing a lot. So the law comes and says people are stealing. How do we solve this thing of stealing? What type of punishment do we give? You see, that's what law does. Then they'll tell you, okay, these people, they steal, they climb the wall and then they steal. So you'll make a law saying that if you are found climbing a wall, you will be arrested. Because the habit of the thieves is to climb walls. So anybody who climbs a wall, climbing a wall is a crime, because if you climb a wall, most likely you are a thief. So they write that, they make the law. Then after some time, people start making holes in the wall and they steal. So the lawmakers say, how are these thieves stealing again? They are making holes in the wall. So they go back to the law. And then they end the law and then say, now it will also include those who make holes on walls. They are thieves. So if you climb a number one, then the amendment is, if you make a hole in the wall, if you are found making a hole in the wall, then you're a thief, so you'll be arrested. So that's what law does. It can never come when something has not happened. When that thing has not happened. That's why the laws of homosexuality and all of these other, these laws anti-homosexuality, they were not written because it never happened. It was happening. So they didn't want it to continue, so they made the law. That's what you need to understand about why we fight anti-homosexual laws. It's not that when they are written, they created it. No, people were having that sex. They were having sex together. So the lawmaker, because he doesn't like it, came and made a law against it. It's as simple as that. Idolatry in the Ten Commandments in the Torah. Egypt was the most idolatrous. It was a polytheist society. They worshipped gods. And one of the signs that Nigerians came from ancient Egypt, there's some people who argue that Nigerians are not. There's a war in the internet, of course, because of racism, that black people are not necessarily ancient Egyptians. Black people are very ancient Egyptian. And one of the proofs of that is the idolatry that is in Nigeria. They had so many gods, just like Egypt had very many gods. And then when the Ten Commandments was written, why was it on the issue of idols? It was because in Egypt there were many idols. And for information, the Hebrew people who were in Goshen and other parts of Egypt during the time of Moses, of course some people are saying it may have not happened, but for me, I believe the story might have just been spiced up, but the reality is Israelites lived in Egypt. And so when they were in Egypt, they were worshiping gods. Do you see, why did Moses have to go and ask God, what is your name? Do you know what he asked him? He asked him, what is your name? Because he needed to go back and tell the Israelites, there's a new God. I have found him. That's what Moses did. That's why, if you are sinister interpretation of the Bible, Moses is the creator of Judaism. He was a sharp man because nobody followed him to the bush. It was only him who went. Yes, he was the only one who went to the bush. Then he came back and told them, "There's a new God I found." And he had power. Remember, the if you are a sinister theologian or an interpreter, sinister theologian, or a skeptic. Sinister is too harsh. Let's say a skeptic. If you're a skeptic of the story of Moses, you will say Moses did not actually, he was just an Egyptian, and Egyptians had power. That's what the story tells you. You see what, when Moses went to see Pharaoh, he dropped the rod, and the rods became a snake, a serpent, and the rods of the magicians also became serpents. So what was that? The Egyptians also had power, but Moses' power was greater. That's why I was reading a book. There's a book I wanted to read. They are discussing, they are skeptical of the story of Israel, Moses. Yes, not Israel, Moses. They don't believe that the plagues happened because they have not been recorded. You see, if they were recorded in Egyptian history very clearly that there was a time that this happened to us, then that could mean that it really happened. But the if you want to be a lawyer for Moses, you will say, nah, the Egyptians were really beaten. The last thing they want to do is to remember that beating they got from Moses. So they never recorded it. So Moses is the one who recorded what he did. So that's what you can argue on all sides. Like, that's what I told you. These days I can be on all sides. Yes, all. I can choose to be on any side because of thanks to AI theology and philosophy. Because AI teaches you to have outcome based thinking. You think like this, then thinking number one, thinking number two. You can think 1 million ways. 1 million. And you can even think 1 billion ways. You can even live in 1 billion different ways. You can list them all. I'm telling you, that's outcome based. That is why AI is very, very powerful and intriguing. Because imagine if you have a billion pairs, then each of those are billion times another billion, because you can just modify one. It's unbelievable. We are even going to go to mathematics of, there's what you call the power of 10. eh? 10 to the power of 10, or 5 to the power of 10. What's going to happen next time? You can even say 5 billion to the power of 10. Now, if you can have 5 billion, then you can even have 10 trillion to the power of 10. I think how bad mathematics is. Bad. It's bad because you get a big figure and all you do, power it by 10. That's why I've told you the universe. Right now, I will show you a picture of the universe. We'll go online and then we'll show you the expanse of the universe. Known. Millions and millions, if not billions of miles away. We will do it today. Can you imagine? That's what you need to understand about the world that we are living in. So back to Moses. So Moses, the skeptics can say Moses was just an Egyptian, very powerful Egyptian, and because he was an Egyptian, these guys learned magic. Yeah. So even Moses knew magic. He knew it. All the sorcery, he knew it. He was a student. He learned at Pharaoh's house. There is no difference between Moses and Daniel. They were all students in the king's school. And the king's schools are the best. Forever, it has been like that in the history of mankind. So, know that Moses was schooled in Egyptian sorcery and Egyptian magic. So that now when he came to set the Hebrews free, he now came with Yahweh power, you know, and he could do what the Egyptian magicians would do and even better. And the only thing they could not do was get an angel of death. That is what Moses did. He got the angel of death, and the angel of death killed the firstborns of Egypt. And this angel of death, it knows. Are you seeing the power of those angels? They knew who was the firstborn. Very, very. Even in animals, it says even the cows, the firstborn of the cow died. Of an Egyptian, any Egyptian house that did not paint the house with blood. If you didn't put blood on the door, your child was gone, your firstborn. So that's what you need to understand. Now the magicians could not do that magic. So that's now where you answer a skeptic and you tell them, well, as a lawyer for Moses, this guy really got the real God or a very strong God. You know, never forget, God is the God of gods. Yes, God is the God of gods. So what does this mean? He's not really fighting these other gods. He's just bigger than them. Yeah. He's not. The gods of Egypt exist. The gods of Sudan exist. The gods of Nigeria exist. The gods of England, the gods of Germany, the gods of America, gods of Brazil. All of these gods exist. They are spirits. But the top spirit is the God of Israel. That is what Moses came and told them. Okay, now that's for those who believe in Moses. Okay, so what was I trying to tell you? We were saying wisdom. The ability to apply knowledge and experience. So a foolish person is not a person who doesn't have knowledge. It's a person who does not know how to apply the knowledge he has. That's a foolish person. That's what you need to know. You see, like the story Jesus made of the wise man and the foolish builder. The wise builder and the foolish builder. The wise builder built his house upon the rock. The foolish one built his house upon the sand. So what does this tell you? It tells you two things about wisdom and foolishness. Both of them were builders. They had the knowledge to build a house. But the foolish one did not apply the knowledge well. So he made a bad decision. According to the Oxford Dictionary, the ability to use your knowledge and experience to make good decisions and judgments. So some people, if you make a bad judgment, like to build a house on sand, it was a bad judgment. Because when a storm comes, the foundation, you see, building a house on sand is not as firm as building it on a rock foundation. You see, rock foundation, rock bottom. That's why when you see these builders, have you noticed builders, people, if you are not aware of building, you just see someone building a house, then you say, but why are you building the house on soil? Like if you go to some villages, they are simple. Their houses are very simple, meaning they don't go deep. They are not looking for a foundation, a rock foundation, because the house they're building is just one story. It's just one one room, and that's a sign of poverty. Sadly, yes, because if you are rich, you will not build a house. You will. The deeper you go, the more wealth you have, because you're going to put up a very strong structure. So when you go to the villages in Africa, people don't waste their time going so deep to get a foundation. They just put a small thing. Reason being, now when a storm comes, that house is going to collapse. Not because it is because it has a very weak foundation and it's simple. Yeah, it's a simple house. And but the guy who builds a house strong, very strong, and very tower, a tower house, looks for a very strong foundation, and that's a rock. Rocky ground is good for building a house because the house rests on the foundation. If you have a weak foundation, the house will go down. Now that's why I said we are going to do. There are so many series to do. You know, right now, thanks to education and knowledge and technology, how we read the Bible is unbelievable. First of all, he told you the Bible is a historic book. Secondly, it's a philosophical book. Even the Quran is a philosophical book, and that's why we are reading Quran. We are reading everything. We are reading everything, and and whenever I'm reading it, like now, I've just discussed about building, and look, these guys knew how to build. So we're going to do a building series, the builders series, and you will look at how these guys, mankind has been building for thousands of years. The Tower of Babel, that's a skyscraper. You know the beauty of the word Tower of Babel? A joke. We have Trump Towers. And I'm just joking. Yeah, so we have imagine Trump Towers exists, but 4,000 years ago there was a in Babylon they were building the Tower of Babel, the Tower of the Gate of God, and we are still doing that series about ancient Babel and modern Babel to show you that or the ancient gate of God and the modern gate of God, because Babel, the Hebrews erroneously called it confusion, but it's not erroneous. It's just that they are telling you that the day humans became divided was in Babel. That is the day they got confused. That is when the world was divided. But before that, the world was united. And remember, when you read it again in the book of Genesis, chapter 11, they used to journey together. Humans, they never used to stay together. They never used to stay apart. They were together because they were speaking one language. So you see how powerful we were when we had one language. And that's how it is forever. If you have one language, you notice the ethnic groups in the world that have a language, they still exist. Do you know why? Unity. They speak the same language. That is why you come to Africa, the Khoikhoi, one of the oldest groups, Homo sapien groups in the world, the Khoikhoi. They still exist, but they're becoming few. The South Sudanese, they still exist. That language of theirs, extremely old. Extremely old. But they still exist. Do you know why they exist? It's because the language is still in the air. The Bible carries almost every science in the world. Linguistics, oh my, you can sleep there. Architecture, you'll sleep there. Like now, the one I was trying to talk about was architecture. And architecture, I want to. We will do a video when we'll show you the Solomon's temple, and just think to yourself, that was built 3,000 years ago. That height. Have you seen the cathedrals in Europe? Think of that. Think of that. The cathedrals in Europe and the echo. So what does that tell you? Even these guys were good in acoustics. They had the science. You see, that's why Freemasons, I don't have a problem with Freemasons at all, because they know something about the world. Yes, they know it. A Freemason is a free person, is a free knowledge seeker. That's why they have all religions, because they are trying to understand who got something. Because you see, religion is is about us connecting to the extraterrestrial world. And some people have very deep knowledge of the world. Other religions don't have very much deep. So you see, some religions are not so deep in esotericism or extraterrestrial sciences, paranormal sciences, which we are going to do that video about it. But others are very deep in them, because it depends on what they know. Um, like you see, Christianity, you can compare Christianity. That's why you do comparative religions. You look for religions. Which religion has an angel? Which religion doesn't have an angel? Which religion believes in stars? Like astrotheology, we are also going to be doing, have different understandings. So, what the Freemasons did, and all of these societies, especially, and Freemasons began after they went to the Middle East. These were Europeans who never left Europe. They didn't know other countries very well. And most of the times, the like Christianity went to Europe through the Jewish missionaries, and then the Gentile missionaries that were converted by the Jewish missionaries like Paul. Like I told you, the Christianity is a pyramid scheme, because you are going there to convert somebody, to convert another person, to convert another person, to convert. It's a pyramid scheme. Other religions are not pyramid schemes. Yes, like Judaism is not a pyramid scheme. If you're a Jew, you're not obligated to be a Judaic. By the way, all Jews, no, Jews do not all Jews are ultra orthodox. Yeah, they are free to be to side on whichever Jewish thought they want to have. Even that's why there are many atheist Jews. Yeah, so they are not bound by the Torah. They don't believe in it, so they are okay. And but in Judaism, if you become a Judaic, not everybody can become a Judaic, because you have to have Jewish blood. Then if you really 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 want to be a Jew, they will proselytize you, but the process of proselytizing you, they take you through, is rigorous, because that's not their job. Their belief is, you are born a Jew, you keep Jewish religion. If you are not a Jew, don't bother. It is not your religion. But Christianity is a pyramid scheme. It was because Jesus Christ said, go and make disciples. That's what he wanted. Go and make disciples for me. Go, 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 go. Get the Gentiles, get the Jews, get everybody to join me. So that's why Christianity grew very fast. And it started early. Islam also copied that same system of Jesus Christ, but it was late. It was late by 500 years. It was late by 500 years. So that's why, but you see, they are gaining speed, um, because of what do you call it? Because of their population, the population numbers. However, it is not a very attractive religion when it comes to liberty. So it's not. It's going to get a place where it will stop. Yes, there's a time where Islam won't grow. Everything goes like economic growth. You see the economic curve of abnormal profits, then normal profits, then diminishing returns. That's what will happen to Islam, because as time will go on, humans get, you see, the power of knowledge, and we'll talk about this when we do Rex Arthur meets QSTPS. We'll talk about the Aquarian age which we are in. It's very many beautiful things are happening in right now in the world, very many, and they are going to change us. They are changing us already. Religion is becoming, people are not taking it very seriously. They are not, really running into it. And and that's what's going to happen. The Muslim of the 21st century is not the Muslim of the 6th century, 7th. They are not. Very different. The Christian of today, if you put him next to the ones of Paul's time, Paul's people can collapse and say, my goodness, look at how rich these Christians are. They even have their own Bible. Yes, it's very true. They are looking back and saying these guys are so advanced, you know. And then another thing, I don't know if you watched this movie of the time traveler. When he came, he was from the 19th century, and he was so confused by the 20th century world, you know. And that's what happens to those people in the past. That's why I laugh. There are some guys, Lenin's body is frozen. So, sorry about that. There was a slight. I was telling you about Russia, and in Russia, they freeze the bodies of people. One reason, and I think there's another country that also wants to do the same, because they can't. The burying of people in the soil uh, is losing meaning, and they feel like the land is already used, so they want to put them in freezers. Now, even if you put them in freezers, and then with the way science is going very fast in a very aquarist way, Aquarian way, um, they are going to revive these dead bodies. Yes, I really believe it. They will be revived. But the problem is, now back to the movie of the time traveler. The problem is the problem is those people will wake up with the neurons of the 20th century, so they will have to learn how to live in the 21st century or the 22nd century. Though I think in the 21st century we are going to find life eternal, and so, or long life. So when they revive those cells, those dead bodies, there'll be a problem they'll have. Training them to live in the world they'll be revived to live in, because they'll be like, what? Because they'll have different neurons. And maybe what they could do is, thanks to memory cards, maybe you now give them a memory card of the 21st century, and then they will work, but they'll still be like cyborgs. They'll be robots, and being controlled by us. Okay, so let's conclude this video. Sorry, it was affected by network failure. And I was discussing about the different philosophies of the world, and how Freemasons study all of these philosophies, which I don't attack them. I read everything. That's what I'm telling you. I read everybody. and just to understand their mindset and to understand their understanding of Sophia, the understanding of Christ, the understanding of power, because Christ is power. An anointed man, that's a Christos man, or an anointed woman, that's a Christos woman, has power, which is knowledge, which is wisdom, which is Christ. So every sect that exists in the world, even the bad ones, I've mentioned them, they are knowledge sects. They have understanding of something. That's why I told you the greatest tree in the Garden of Eden was that one they ate from, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because it is the knowledge of good and evil that makes you a god. That's what you need to know. That's why I used to tell somebody one time when somebody stole something, and I told them, what you're supposed to do is put everybody who was there who stole the thing, close the room, and search them. Then they were like, but guys, how can you say people can steal? And I said, no, it's a fact. Everybody's a potential thief. Anybody can steal, even a blind person. Everybody can steal. You see, the false assumption is the moral assumptions that a Christian can't do bad, a Muslim can't do bad. No, 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 no. If you have those assumptions, you will not solve problems. Yes, you will not solve crimes. When something has been stolen somewhere and there are Christians in the room, search everybody. Yes. Because just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't steal. As long as you're a human, you have the potential to. A human is a person who has knowledge of good and evil, and but there are humans who have more knowledge about. Now the what varies is the degree. So there are some people who have very much knowledge on good, a lot of knowledge about good things, but they have little knowledge about evil things. And then others have knowledge about evil things. They know a lot about evil, but they don't know a lot about good. Then there are others who have a very good balance between knowledge of good and evil. Yeah, it's a fact. There are some people who are their knowledge of good things. Oh, it's so nice. But when you ask them to know evil, they don't even know. They can even collapse. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Every sect in the world is a knowledge sect. Yes. Ku Klux Klan, very racist. A racist sect. It is a knowledge sect. It's a wisdom sect. That's their Sophia. That is their power. Their power was to attack, to fight Jews, Catholics, and blacks. That was their knowledge, because they have an understanding, their own understanding, their own philosophy, that those people are to be hated for these and these reasons. You see, that's why it's a knowledge sect. They have created a knowledge about black people, Catholics, and Jews that gives them enough ammunition to fight them. That's why you see they used to do. Did you see what they used to do, Ku Klux Klan, in the past? In fact, now it is so moribund. They would take pictures. You know why? The knowledge was so much in them, they believed it. You see why is religion a very teaching medium? It's because you give the person data. So these people are given data how blacks are bad. Blacks are the lowest, whatever, everything. They were given that data. Bah! They were brainwashed.
brainwashed. And so when now they would go to the black houses, they would do what they do. When they see a black man, they would hang him, and then even take pictures, because they were brainwashed. It was all so a knowledge sect. You see the type of data you give people. That's why education system is very important, because it's a data system. It's a programming system. You are programming humans. Didn't you hear what James said? That teachers will be judged more than the student. It's because they are giving that the data they are giving, the knowledge they are giving. So that's what you need to understand. So that's now KKK, and now of course now it's moribund. Then the Nazis. See, they had their knowledge, their wisdom, their Christ, their power, and that data, their data, because data is knowledge, it is power. And so their knowledge was that Jews and gays are bad people. That's what they were teaching. They are bad people. They are Christ killers, especially the Jews. They killed our they killed our Christ. You see the word? They killed Christ. They killed power. So they now, what did they do? That was the brainwashing. That's why there was a minister of propaganda. He was minister of data, the minister of programming. Do you know why they had to have a ministry of propaganda? It was because if you don't give them the data, people would question and say, but why are you hating somebody? What did he really do? So they put somebody who, everywhere. You put on the television, Jews are bad. You open the newspaper, Jews are bad. You go in the bar, Jews are bad. So it was everywhere you are going. You go to church, the sermons, yeah, they were twisted to so that it was bombardment of people with anti-Semitic data. And now for the homophobic data, there was not necessarily a need to be so propaganda, because all you needed to do with gays was show them, look at them, they're drinking. And people don't like a lifestyle of people who are drinking, they are so lewd, they are showing themselves almost naked on the street. Go and watch the 1920 videos, the jazz clubs when they began. They were sex temples. There was no difference between the jazz club of 1920 and the sodomite temple of 4000 3000 BC. No difference. Music, drinking, just go and do everything. So now, when television came, it televised those acts. Because before television appeared, nobody knew what was happening in the club. Before the cameras came, only those who went to the clubs knew. Only those who went to the clubs knew what was happening in the club. So everybody was spending time in rumors. But with the coming of camera, both photography and the television, that was the end. Everybody's secret was known. So they went and they took cameras of, look at these people, they're getting crazy. And then, oh my God, we are going to hell. This is happening in our country. We are becoming evil. People who don't like clubbing. So that data was now. So that's why for the gays, they didn't necessarily need uh, a lot of propaganda data against them. All they needed was pictures to show them, look at them. And then another thing about gays, some of them, the effeminate ones especially, they can't hide their gayness. They are so, you know, they are effeminate. So everybody could tell. But a Jew you could not tell, because they were German Jews, hidden. So that's why now, even Hitler, you see, Hitler is genetically E1B1. That is a Jewish line. Yes. And you could tell he had black hair. So I was just laughing at how it's just unbelievable how that knowledge was pumped in the people. And so when it was pumped in the people, it was to now make the final, so-called final solution. And that's what they did. So what do you need to understand? Now, Nazism is moribund. Yes, no, it will never rise up again. Because now, as I told you, do you know that's what law does? This video is a very good video. I've just told you what I have said. Law comes after an act has happened. And knowledge is so creative. You can create any idea, any, any idea. So, but the good thing about law is that if you've now found that this idea was very bad, like what happened, the Ku Klux Klan, and then you have Nazism, and especially Nazism, people could not believe it. Do you know Europe till now feels so bad that they let that happen? Of course, it has gone, it's sad, and of course, Germany apologizes, and life goes on, and there's memorial. You know why you have memorials? It's so that you don't repeat them again. That's what happens. That's why you have memorials, like the Nagasaki and the Auschwitz memorial, the Holocaust remembrance. Yes, when you have that, it is not to go back to that past. So what I'm trying to say is the killings of people, the killings of people, the laws now came, and UN set up the UDHR to counter philosophies that encourage people to be killed. You know, and this is why now we have reform religions. Yes, reform religions, because we are now encouraging religions that are not homophobic. We are removing homophobia, transphobia from religion. Yes, that's what we are doing. It's going to take time, because contrary to, unlike Nazism, that was not very old. It was a very, how many years was Nazism? Less than 10 years. Less than 10 years. It just borrowed. Anti-Semitism has been in the world forever. It hasn't even gone. It's still there. It has been in the world ever since Jews. Jews have been hated for a very long time. It's just that Nazism was a mixture of anti-Semitism, mixture of Christianity, mixture of very many things. Then they created. That's how they created Nazism. So Nazism as an idea. That's why you see today. What do you have? Do you have Nazism? No. What do you have? Neo-Nazism. It is not Nazism, it's new Nazism. This one is different from the Nazism before, because unlike the old one, this one is not violent. They have no power. They have no, the most powerful thing to have is the seat of power, the law. Yes, government. Because once you have government and you have a bad philosophy, that's it. That's what you need to understand. The philosophy of a politician or a political party is very important, and that's what's already happening in America. You see, America, the Christian right is working to keep its philosophy hanging. Yes, it whether you like it or not, America is headed for tough times ideologically. Yes, ideologically. Unless either side, one of the sides, just falls back. and just accepts to disappear. um, but for me, what I try and tell people is no, let a philosophy, especially a philosophy that's not genocidal, not homicidal, let it exist. Like Marxism is okay, communism is okay. Those are ideas, if you like, because there's some nice things you'll hear from communism and Marxism. Those are okay. Let them exist. And then when you have an election is where you want a philosophy to be I mean, it's some in not in every country. In countries where ideology is you pick people based on ideas, it is the ruling party is the ruling philosophy, is the ruling ideology. So you see, that's what has happened in America. The conservative ideology is the one taking reign, and it's not. I don't like it for one thing. It's very anti-science. Yeah, it's very anti-science, and that's why we are really doing our best to, if you can't remove the conservatives from power, inject them with science. Give them science, show them the importance of science. That's what I would advise Democrats. Like now, the Democrats have the House. Good. Sit down, make very good legislation that makes sense, scientific sense, factual, and present it to the president. If he vetoes something that's based on science and people have supported, you see, that's how our system works. When you are making laws, inform people, media. That's why we have media apparatus. All of these things are there. We are one. We are all united. Never be confused by people that we are fighting each other. That's what we are trying to deal. We are trying to throw away that thinking, because the thinking of we are fighting them. You see, that is what created Nazism. Nazism was us against them. It was a bifurcated thinking ideology. But I am now proposing the Babel, yes, the gate of God philosophy or theology, whereby we are one. That's what Paul used to teach. We are one. You see, Paul taught it. He even said, pray for those who are in authority. And you imagine they were killing Christians. And he said, pray for them. That was because he knew that that person is in power. He's been empowered by God. That's what you need to understand. Anyway, we can talk about Paul forever. So basically, philosophy is the love of Sophia, which is the love of Christ, which is the love of knowledge, which is the love of wisdom. Now, every sect in the world is a knowledge sect. It is a wisdom sect. It is a power sect, because knowledge is power. That's why philosophers are very important in the world, because they create ideas. And when they create ideas, those ideas create followers, ideologues. And when there's an ideologue, if they become very strong, they can even change the world. So that's what you have to understand. Everything. It's a reality. And that's what happened. That's why Israel. You see, Israel, ancient Israel, they used to kill people. That was there. And somebody was complaining. I remember another lady on Facebook. She's always posting about how she doesn't like the Bible God. And I told her, yes, God is good and evil. Yes, he has the knowledge to do good and evil. He destroyed the whole world with a flood. That's what it says. With people, children, they died in floods. So I told her, yes, that's who you are also, because the Bible says you are created in the image of God. So if God can do good and evil, you can do good and evil. Can. The key word is can, not you will do. You can. And there are some people who do more good than evil because they are more conscious. Yes. If you're conscious about your language, you won't go and just call anyone, hey, nigger, bitch. That you're conscious. But that guy who is saying nigger, he's even free to say it. Yes, he's very free. He has the power. He's a god. As I said in the other video, God said he hated Esau. Who killed God for saying that? Yes, he said it. Even you can say today, I hate Trump. I hate Obama. People say that. How many have been saying that? Yes, very many. Many people go and look at Twitter. I hate the Republicans. You see, that's why now the freedom of speech, as we're going to do that video of Aquarian Age, and the problem we're having, we are in a fundamental time. There is no country that's not being affected by what's happening today. Because the constitution, the meaning of the constitution is changing. The constitution is under attack everywhere. You must understand it is the age we are in, and it is because of technology. Technology bypassed the law in a tremendous way. The law does not even know what to do. I just watched the news yesterday and I was shocked. There's a crypto owner who has died, and he had encrypted $140 million. It is lost. Lost. Because the guy died with a password. You see, so now what has happened? This is now going to make us, of course, we've lost it. It's okay. It's gone. But you see, the power of that death is now it's training people to understand what can we do when, in case people who have crypto bank accounts die. You see, what will you do? So now we are beginning to question the whole idea of cryptology, which is also biblical, because the Bible says that God will give you a name that only you and him know. So nobody else will know that name except you and God. That's what the Bible says when you go to heaven. So if you're thinking cryptology is only for here, it's even up there or in the extraterrestrial zones. So anyway, guys, that's all we had to say about philosophies. And read all philosophies, all. Don't fear. Read all of them and study and know, and don't have a superiority complex that my philosophy is the best. Yes. That's how I've taken my position right now. I don't come and what I do to you, I just explain to you my philosophy or my understanding of life, and I leave you. If you want it, fine. If you don't want it, it's okay. So that's what people need to understand. Um, that's the world philosophy, the love of wisdom, the love of knowledge, the love of Christ, the love of power.